If you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you already know the power that dreams have to shape our lives. At any time I have the opportunity to talk to dream workers about their thoughts on dreams, I take advantage of it. Well, today is one of those moments. Kathryn Ridall is a psychotherapist who has spent her career helping others connect with their inner lives. She's written a new book, Dreaming at the Gates, which documents this wonderful place of mystery and wonder. Welcome to the Dream Power Show, Kathryn.
Thanks, Debbie. I'm glad to be here.
Kathryn, why are dreams important to you?
I had my first dream when I was 3 years old, and it's my first memory. And it was a really powerful dream that stayed with me my whole life and kind of set the stage of what a lot of my life issues were going to be. So right out the gate, I'm not so sure that dreams chose me. That's what I want to say. Dreams chose me right out the gate.
Very interesting. One of the things I did want to talk to you about were childhood dreams. And I think you sort of answered this question, but maybe you could expand on it a little bit more, because I wanted to know if dreams that we have in childhood do stay with us into our adulthood. So can you expand on that?
That some dreams stay with us and some don't. If they do stay with us, there's a reason they stay with us. And I think the ones that stay with us either had a big, powerful impact at the time, or they prefigured what our issues, our concerns, and our passions were going to be in life. So, for instance, my first dream, I woke up and there was a witch in the corner of my room, in the rocking chair. I saw her. I was terrified. She had this kind of craggy face and was cackling. I was terrified, but I didn't have any place to go because my mother's bed didn't feel safe. So I was in this quandary in my dream. What do I do? There's no safe place. That was the dream. I eventually did run to my mother's bed in the dream, but that set up in my life an understanding at a very early age that I was going to have issues with my mother and that was going to be important. That also was important because in resolving my own issues, I became a healer for other people. So that first dream set up a powerful understanding of what my life was going to be like, what was going to be important to me. The same is true of other people who remember their first dreams. Their dreams show them something about their characters, something about their passions, something about what their issues are going to be. And of course, my first dream had a witch in it, and I was going to be interested in the metaphysical and things that can't be seen. And there it was in my first dream.
Was that a scary witch or a good witch?
It was totally scary. I was frightened. I was scared, but I was paralyzed because I didn't feel like I could run to my mother's bed. So there was the witch and there was the unsafe bed. What do I do? It was like a quandary. It was a dilemma. And it set up a very clear picture for me. It was comforting though. It was scary, but it was comforting from an early age because I felt like something in me understood my situation and was reflecting it back to me. I had this dream when I was 3. So even from an early age, I knew, oh, something in me understands and can reflect back to me my situation. So I found it very comforting, even though it was terrifying.
And obviously this dream is a nightmare. And, I like to say that nightmares can be our best friend or the best thing that's ever happened to us, because when we figure out what they are, they do give us life-changing messages that we can use. But what do you do when you're 3? I mean, you're not an analyst.
It just stayed with me. It was like, we're so impressionable when we're young, so that image just stayed with me. But I knew that even though it scared me, I knew that it was good medicine for me. And by the time I was like 7 or 8 or 9, I understood it. I mean, I didn't understand it totally, but I understood that it was there to help me. I did. I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that what you said, about nightmares, because I think that ecstatic, beautiful dreams and nightmares are pretty much equal. They're both important in terms of what they bring to us.
They do, because they are in messages. I mean, I like to say that, because we dream all the time, we may be having something going on in our life and we're getting a dream about it, but because we're not paying attention to that dream, it just sort of goes away. And to me, a nightmare is like our subconscious's way of saying, hey, you're not listening to all these nice little dreams I'm giving you, so I'm going to give you a dream that's going to scare you and make you remember it.
Or the unconscious will give us the same dream again and again and again. We'll have a recurring dream until we listen.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the unconscious has different ways of handling it if we decide we're not going to pay any attention. Either the nightmare comes or the dreams keep repeating, or sometimes they're repeating nightmares. But whatever, the unconscious will make itself known.
So that also gets into the whole idea of recurring dreams. So, what is your take on recurring dreams?
I think that our dreams come. Will talked about how our dreams are compensatory, that they balance out a one-sidedness in our conscious attitude. So when we're walking around life, we're very preoccupied with making our lives work, with surviving, and we kind of put out of sight those things that are uncomfortable to us because we think they're going to derail us. So our dreams come and they show us some of those things that we need to look at. Sometimes they're really beautiful things that we're ignoring, but we're ignoring something, we're repressing it. Dreams will come and then show us that. If we don't pay attention, and it's important, then the dream will come again. And it will come again until we pay attention to it. So I love recurring dreams because I feel like they show the tenacity of our deep self to show us where we're limited and where we need to expand and grow. So recurring dreams, they're like a knock that keeps coming at the door, telling us, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Yeah. They can be uncomfortable, but they're very, very helpful. And they really prove the existence of another part of the psyche other than the waking self that wants to get our attention. The fact that they keep coming again and again show us that there's something out there other than our waking self that wants to make a comment. There's nothing more than a recurring dream that really shows that.
How can we resolve a recurring dream?
Like any dream, dreams don't provide guidance. They don't come and say, hey, this is what you should do, Debbie, or this is what you should do, Kathryn. They provide an experience, and then we have an opportunity, like how we're going to react to that experience. So if a dream keeps coming and we keep ignoring it, keeps coming, but if we decide that we're going to act on what the dream has showed us. I can give you an example personally if you'd like one.
Sure.
When I first met my husband, we were living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I loved the Bay Area, and he wanted to move, and I didn't. So we had a conflict in our relationship. Are we going to move or not? Or are we not? I started to have kidnapping dreams, and I swear I had them every night for a year. And I just didn't listen. I mean, I knew what they were about, but I just wasn't ready to pay attention to them. So sometimes I was a child, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, but I was always being kidnapped. Finally, I said to myself, okay, this is enough. And I decided I was not going to move. No matter what happened, no matter what the consequences were, I wasn't going to move because my deep self felt that it would be a kidnapping to leave the Bay Area at that point. I made the decision to honor what my dreams were telling me, and the dreams stopped immediately. And I eventually did leave the Bay Area, and I didn't have one dream about being kidnapped because it was the right time. It was the right time.
During the pandemic, you put out a video about a dream that you had, which helped you cope with the situation. So can you tell us about that dream and why you made a video of it?
A while back, I realized that my book was written before the pandemic and that we were in a different world, so that my book was no longer about the world we live in. So I wanted to bring my work into the current time of the pandemic. And I began that by sharing a dream. So I decided I would do a YouTube series looking at dreams that people have during the pandemic. That would be my offering. I started out with my own dream, which I called isolation. In that dream, I was walking in the streets of Berkeley, where I lived for many, many years, except the streets were no longer familiar. I was walking along streets that had once been familiar. I now didn't know my way around, and I was suddenly a student at the University of California. So I was a student, I was trying to figure out where I was, I felt lost, I felt isolated, and I saw a friend from high school that I lost. I sort of saw her at a distance. So I was in a state of really unknowing and just feeling disoriented in the dream. That was the first part of the dream. And I'll just do that and tell me when you want me to do the second part. So when I looked at that dream, I said, okay, what is this about? Well, first when you work a dream, you look at what the feelings are. The feelings of being isolated and disoriented. It didn't take too long to figure out that was how I was feeling in daily life with the pandemic. I thought it was really interesting that I was a student because at this time we're all students. We're all trying to learn how to navigate this new world. How do we do it? The second part of the dream, I went to the student union at the University of California. There were a bunch of people there, and we were trying to figure out how do we make the student union, the common space, comfortable for everyone? How do we do that? And so we were kind of trying different things, and nothing really worked very well. And then somebody had the idea of putting fish tanks, 2 fish tanks from floor to ceiling. And when they put 2 in, they were beautiful. Just this beautiful kelp, and there were goldfish with big fins that were swimming around the water. Absolutely beautiful, these tanks. I was mesmerized by them. I was like, this is so beautiful. However, when this turned out to be an effective way of decorating or inhabiting the common space, people began to put the tanks everywhere. So all the walls were lined with fish tanks. At that point, they lost their beauty. There were too many of them. There was a cold surface of the glass. And in the tanks, suddenly there were too many fish too. So what was beautiful and inviting had become cold and didn't work any longer. And in the dream, I thought to myself, you know, I've been to so many aquariums and museums where there's glass, and I never realized before how cold those kind of glass barriers are. So when I looked at, okay, what is this about? Well, of course, we're all in the common space trying to make life work. It's not just our individual lives, but how do we make the collective space work? When I looked at the fish tanks, they of course reminded me of like how we are right now. You're looking into kind of a fish tank. You're looking through a screen at somebody else. So what that dream said to me was, used in a small amount, like when there were 2 tanks, it was beautiful. This, if you use it sparingly, if you use it judiciously, this will be a beautiful, beautiful way to navigate the common space. If you use it too much, it will become cold and it will lose its effectiveness. So there was a piece of guidance for me in there, individually and to us collectively. Yes, use the tool, it's beautiful, but beware of using it too much.
And what a wonderful dream to share with people, because a lot of people have been feeling that way.
Life on a screen is very different. It has a lot of gifts to it, but it's also limited.
Yeah, but speaking of this time, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that there are a lot more people paying attention to their dreams these days. Do you think that's sustainable when life sort of goes back to quote normal?
No, I don't know, because I hope so. But what I believe is that the reason that people are remembering their dreams more is because they have more time. You know, they get up in the morning and they have a cup of coffee and they're not hitting the ground running. So there's much more time for the dream to come in and to be processed. So I think that, and also because there's a collective trauma happening. So I think that in times of trauma, we remember more too. But I do think the spaciousness of our lives, or some people's lives right now, is really helping us to dream more. When we become busier again, I don't know. I really don't. What I hope is that during this time, people will develop new habits, that they'll see, oh my goodness, my dream life can really add to my waking life, that it can really help my life. It can deepen my experience of the world. I hope people have enough of an experience of that during this time that they're motivated to keep watching their dreams and working with their dreams once this is over. But honestly, I don't really know if that will happen once people get busy again.
How can people get your book?
They can go to Amazon.
Okay, you want to repeat the title again?
Dreaming at the Gates, How Dreams Guide Us.
We've been speaking about dreams with Kathryn Ridall.